It takes a special kind of talent to fumble a bag that was handed to you on a silver platter. That's literally what Fox did when they got a hold of the Percy Jackson franchise. They put out these two dumpster fire of a movie. Even the author of the books tried to throw them a lifeline and told them these scripts are terrible and offered suggestions on how they could fix it, and they still fumbled the bag. But thankfully, a new adaptation is coming for Percy Jackson. So now that the horrors of the movie adaptation are behind us, I'm hoping the show gives us some of these things to make it succeed where the movie failed. The Oracle and Quest. These were a big part of the books. The Great Prophecy was a prophecy from the Oracle in the books that foretold that the demigod child of one of the big three, Zeus, Hades, or Poseidon, will destroy or will save Olympus in the future when they reach, I forget the age, it was like 15 or 16 or something like that. Now, this prophecy is what actually ties the overarching conflict in the books, and it explains a lot of things like why Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades don't have children, and why the children of the big three are so dangerous, other than them being a child of the big three. Now, the first movie doesn't even try to recognize prophecies in the story. The only time they speak on a child of the big three in the movies is when they mention that children of the big three are rare.
It's exceedingly rare for a child to be born to one of the big three.
They obviously don't explain why they're rare, they just say that they're rare. Now, this could be just because they don't want to put all their eggs into one basket and hint at future movies coming if a movie doesn't do well. So they can't predict if a movie does well. They don't reference plot points that could, project the movies to have future installments, basically. In my opinion, that's just being lazy, and they could definitely see how big of a franchise this could have been because they made a second movie from it. Now, quests aren't even mentioned in the first movie at all. The reason in the first book that Percy, Annabeth, and Grover go on the quest to retrieve Zeus's lightning bolt is because they received the quest from the Oracle. But in the movie, Percy, Annabeth, and Grover just ditch camp because Hades says that he had Percy's mom in the Underworld and that Percy should hand over the lightning bolt to him. And we'll get into why that it doesn't make sense either. Although after they notice that Percy Jackson could actually make money, they try to save their ass by adding in the Great Prophecy into the second movie and also implementing the quest as well as a way to follow the storyline of the books and make sure that they all connect for future movies that they thought they were going to be putting out. So if the Disney show wants to succeed in creating an overarching plot over multiple seasons, which it looks like they want to be, then they'll need to definitely include not only the Great Prophecy, but just the quest structure in general. Now, this next one might just be me, but I'm not sure how other people felt about Percy's personality in the movies. Because when I read the books, it was like Percy was a complete savage. Not only was he fighting monsters, Medusa, and going toe-to-toe with gods, but he was also funny, sarcastic, and more than just a nice guy who's a hero, he had an actual personality. In the movies, it makes him seem like, I don't know, very bland and dry. Is this just me? It seems like in the movie that he was just a very nice guy who sometimes got a little bit angry or frustrated at you. And whenever he was angry or mad or whatever at you, the vibe that it was giving off was more of like, I'm a parent that is very disappointed in what you've done. And he'll give you a stern look. It didn't really have any, essence of the character from the book. In the show, not only do I want to see cool fights, but I want to see the Percy that cut off Medusa's head and sent it to the gods because he was pissed at them. I want to see the Percy that has the balls and the arrogance to challenge Ares to prevent an all-out war among the gods. I want to see the Percy that's unrelentingly loyal to his friends, but also is still handing out sarcastic quips to anybody, no matter who you are, whether you be a human, god, demigod, titan, it doesn't matter. I want Disney to breathe some life into his character when he's on the screen and not just make him out to be some heroic guy. He's more than that. The next thing I think the show will really need, and I definitely think that will probably have in this show, is accurate power progression. Obviously, Percy is going to be strong as shit because he's the son of Poseidon. There's no question to that. But he shouldn't be able to do something like this in the first season. It makes his progression as a character unsatisfying as we watch future episodes. So the Disney Plus show needs to accurately be able to show, Percy's progression as he learns how to use his powers better each episode or each season. When you have a character that is, overpowered out of the box, for most shows, not every show, but for most shows, it makes watching this character grow unsatisfying. Any new feat that he unlocks is kind of unsatisfying because, he's already strong as hell. So when he's facing new enemies or opponents that the story tells us are stronger than him, it's not really believable because we've seen him do, incredible things. So there's not a lot of tension in the story, but then there's also not a lot of ups and downs in our character's journey. When we can't see a character at their worst, then we don't really know what it's like to see them at their best. Now, this might be, to me, probably one of the most important things that the show needs if they want to be not only a faithful adaptation, but a successful show. When adapting a book to a movie or a show, you obviously can't adapt every single plot point that comes from the book because they're two different mediums. If you try to do that, you'll end up with something like The Golden Compass. You see, The Golden Compass was a movie that was extremely faithful to the source material. From the characters, the plot, overall setting of the movie, all of it was extremely faithful. But even though it was extremely faithful, the movie ended up flopping in the box office and the potential movie series died right there. So when adapting a book to a movie, there are going to be some things that need to be cut out. You know, you don't have the same amount of time to fit every plot point from a book into a movie, but that doesn't mean you should just rewrite or remove plot points that are essential to the story. I'm looking at you. For example, Kronos brainwashing Ares, or just Ares in general being in the story, or Kronos recruiting Luke were all essential to establishing an overarching plot for the stories and movies to come. You can say that they didn't want to put all their eggs in a basket and try to hint at future movies that could potentially be coming. I've seen different movie series do this a better way, where they don't put all their eggs in a basket, but they still try to connect to future movies by leaving some things in. And if they do get a future movie or a next season, that's great. They can continue because they mentioned this plot point in the first season or the first movie. But you don't try to come and cover your ass in the second movie like, oh, Kronos is here, or oh, the Great Prophecy. No, that's just lazy, and you're not thinking hard enough. But other than that, there are other things that they could have left in the first movie that were important to the plot of the Lightning Thief, like Percy, Annabeth, and Grover going to the Underworld. Both groups go to the Underworld in the movie and the book, and going to the Underworld is a stupid idea no matter how you look at it, but the book makes it make sense while the movie just makes it sound stupider. Let's look at it. In the book, they get a quest from the Oracle letting them know that they have to retrieve the lightning bolt, and then to figure out where the lightning bolt is or get an idea of where it might be, Chiron tells them that Hades might be the one who took it because of these reasons. Not only does Percy not have the lightning bolt, there was a hellhound that was summoned in the camp to kill the campers, aka kill Percy. So because the hellhound comes from the Underworld, which is Hades territory, some fingers may be pointing at Hades as the one who has the lightning bolt. Like I said, going to the Underworld is stupid, but the book wraps it up in a way where they've been set out on this quest to prevent a war between the gods, and their only way to prevent this war is to go to the Underworld, which is where they think the lightning bolt would be with Hades. Now, this is what the movie does. Hades appears in the camp in some fiery demonic form, demanding that Percy hand over the lightning bolt or else he will kill his mother. Percy, knowing he doesn't have the lightning bolt, decides of his own sound mind and body to go to the Underworld to get his mom back from the god of death.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Without an actual plan. What did he expect to happen? To just ask Hades nicely for his mom back and they would be able to get her? So they leave the camp without any plan and they go to the Underworld. And they don't even go to the Underworld as like a way to prevent the war between the gods. They go to the Underworld to get his mom, which is fine because he's saving somebody that he loves very much, which is nice to his character. But at the same time, it just doesn't make sense. And because it doesn't make sense, the movie makes a lot of stupid decisions to make sure that our main characters not only make it to the Underworld, but are able to make it out of the Underworld. Because, for example, the only reason that they're able to make it out of the Underworld is not because of the Persephone's pearls, which is not what they are in the book. The only reason they're able to make it out of the Underworld is because Persephone, the wife of Hades, is there to take out Hades. And because she takes out Hades, the kids are then able to use the pearls to leave the Underworld. If the writers actually read up on Greek mythology, they would know Persephone is only in the Underworld during the winter time. The movie takes place during summer. So why is Persephone there? It doesn't make sense. Thank you for my little rant. I'm gonna step down now. And that leads me into my next point. Just being familiar with actual Greek mythology can give this show a more believable and make the world that the characters are in feel more real. Because little things like that with Persephone's pearls, Persephone isn't even the goddess of the sea, or she has nothing to do with pearls. She's the goddess of spring and fertility and things like that. Pearls literally have nothing to do with her. Pearls should be coming from Percy's dad, which is where they come from in the book. Like, make it make sense. Don't get me angry. What I was saying was having writers that understand not only the source material of the books, but also Greek mythology gives this world that the characters live a more realistic and more believable, setting. Making decisions just because, something looks cool may seem cool in the beginning, but at the end of the day, it's not going to preserve the longevity of the show. It'll make it feel cheap and people will treat it as cheap. And I'm going to end this on a weird note because while Disney doesn't have a good track record lately with a bunch of their lackluster Marvel movies, the lackluster Disney animated movie Wish, and the endless Star Wars adaptations, some good and some are that. With the Percy Jackson show, they have the chance to make something great. At the very least, they have the chance to make something better than the movies. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you guys for tuning into this video. If you guys want to see weekly breakdowns of each episode as we make our way through the show when it comes out on December 20th, hit that like button and subscribe, and also comment it down below so I know that's what you guys want to see. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.